You have this younger generation coming up. You combine that with a severe labor shortage in the construction industry. And I think that's pushing many firms. They realize that it's almost part of their recruitment process. They need to offer technology tools if they want to recruit the next generation of talent.
And I also think that AI is going to push that a lot faster than it has been because, the speed of which it's moving, it's incredible.
I think there's a real transformation in how homeowners are making buying decisions. They are much more empowered. They have AI tools at their disposal, and it's a generational shift that they don't want to be sold to. They want to research, they want to consider the options, they want to be empowered with information, and then they want sales there at the last mile.
Welcome to the Paradigm Industry Insiders podcast, where real people share real stories about what's happening with doors, windows, millwork, and life. I'm John Wheeler, and along with my co-hosts, we sit down with your peers who are moving our industry forward. These are honest conversations packed with practical insights and lessons you can take and bring value to your team. Here's today's conversation.
Welcome to the Paradigm Industry Insiders podcast, where we tell the stories of the people, products, and technology in the window and door industry. I'm here today with my guest, the VP of MDR Sales at Paradigm, Lisa Cooley. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. I'm excited to be here.
And we're actually in the house at Paradigm, so we're on site in Wisconsin. Big day today because it's the kickoff of the annual conference. Yes. And it is actually your first annual conference?
It is. I'm very excited about it.
Are you fired up?
Yeah.
It's going to be a busy place in a few hours here. I've been here 2 years in a row, and it's always fun. Great swag, great people, great food. I hope they have food trucks this year.
They do.
Well, I'm excited to talk to you about your long, amazing career in the industry because you actually were born into a family construction business. Tell me a little bit about your background.
Sure. I love this that we kind of have this in common, that we grew up in family businesses. I grew up in a general contracting family. My father and my mother ran that business. I learned at the dinner table growing up about, negotiating with subcontractors and contract clauses and running a site. I didn't really think I was going into construction. I did not go to school for construction or engineering, but found myself more and more drawn to it as I came through my 20s. And as my father said, was trying to figure out how to support myself in the style to which I had become accustomed. Realized I was actually going to have to earn a living. So I worked for the family firm for a few years and then ultimately launched off and started my own general contracting firm. I ran that for about a half a dozen years in my late 20s.
What kind of construction were you doing?
Primarily public sector.
Okay.
So city, state, federal, so a little different than residential. It was a fantastic experience. If I'm honest, I was not very well prepared. It was very much a baptism by fire, but I was at a time in my life where I could just, dedicate myself to it and learn every day. And it was a wonderful experience. And then around 2005, I had the opportunity. I was starting to have a family and being an entrepreneur and running a company was a little bit of a challenge. I had the opportunity to go to work for a national general contractor promoting essentially a delivery methodology for expediting smaller projects, a methodology called job order contracting. It was very dependent on a commercial cost data catalog and a supporting technology stack. So that was kind of my entree into construction technology. It started by promoting construction execution methodology. I did that for about 7 years. And then I was recruited by the producer of this construction cost data, a company called RS Means that is a brand name that some folks may know. That was about 2013. I went to work for RS Means. They were subsequently acquired. And so then I was on a very fun ride with multiple stages of private equity investment. And then ultimately we found our home. Gordian, the acquiring company, found its home in a publicly traded multinational conglomerate, very, very large company. So that was kind of the Contech journey. And after that, I went to work for Procore for a bit, kind of the 500-pound gorilla of construction technology, at least in the commercial space. So lots of similarities with costs, cost estimating, cost and product catalogs. But what's new here is really the residential side for me.
Yeah. From that family dinner table, what's one of the lessons that no matter how different the private equity or the publicly traded or all those things are very different than dad's business? I know it is for me. What's one of the lessons that you've carried throughout no matter what?
So it's something that I saw in my family's company, something that I embodied as I ran my company, and something that you not only embody, but actually named your company, right, is this idea of grit and just being willing to roll up your sleeves and work very hard and problem solve and figure things out.
Yeah.
And it's something that I see in our customers here at Paradigm, especially some of the smaller companies, just that grit, that determination that leads to success in business.
It's my favorite thing about this industry. The people are so awesome and they do work really hard. And not that people don't work really hard in other industries, but there's something about, especially on the side where you see people actually out in the field, a roofer that's roofing on a 100-degree day in Texas, that takes a lot of grit.
Yeah. And
there are a lot of people out here that are tough as nails, literally. And so they have done a lot to get where they are. And I love that spirit.
True story. My first construction project with my own company, I was superintending by day and project managing by night. And we had concrete forms open and ready to pour. And an early unexpected storm came in. And I was out by the lights of my Jeep Grand Cherokee headlight by myself, rolling out this queen over the forms to protect it so that we could pour the next day.
Wow. Yeah. Well, you got to do what it takes, especially when it's your own business. There is no one coming.
That's right.
You are your own best ally. There's no one to save you. I love that spirit, though. Well, how did you come to know that a traditional industry that sometimes hasn't loved technology should be and needs to embrace technology to really take it to the next level? And because you obviously started working for technology companies in the construction world, when did you have that kind of light bulb moment, or was there a light bulb moment where you said, hey, this is the way of the future and people need to embrace this?
For me, I'm not quite digital native, but I grew up in the Atari generation, and even in my company, my parents' company was actually kind of at the forefront in terms of technology. Now it was DOS technology, but they very much embraced technology to run their business. And when I started my business, it was actually my mom came out and helped me implement an accounting and job costing system, like Windows 95, right? But so technology was actually always part of my construction journey. It's really quite accidental that I landed in. I didn't say I want to go into the technology sector. It really was kind of a natural seg from being a general contractor to promoting a methodology that relied on data and technology and then ending up in a technology firm. It was quite accidental. I will say that my appreciation coming through is I think that the younger generation is pushing us to get there. Many people would say that the construction industry is, kind of laggards on this front. I think there are two things. I think that if you can show people in the field how the technology benefits them, I mean, even, fairly long in the tooth, superintendents out there, if they see how it's going to help them be more efficient, they will embrace it. We saw that early on, even with digital cameras and, and being able to email documents. Now there's something else interesting that's happening, that you have this younger generation coming up. You combine that with a severe labor shortage in the construction industry. And I think that's pushing many firms. They realize that it's almost part of their recruitment process. They need to offer technology tools if they want to recruit the next generation of talent.
I couldn't agree more. And I also think that AI is going to push that a lot faster than it has been, because there is just, the speed of which it's moving it's incredible.
It is.
Every week I wake up and there's some major announcement that changes the face of what's happening. We have a team of people, and we were on a call this morning, and they were talking about, one of our creative director was talking about Nano Banana, which is a new Google image AI. and then she was using another one as well. And she showed me some of the things she was doing with photography editing, and it was pretty much impossible to do without that technology. But even if she could have done it in Photoshop, it would have taken hours and hours and hours, and it was an instant change.
It's incredible. I started at Paradigm in January, and there were things that I was trying to tackle in my first couple of months here, and trying to use different tools that were available to me, even AI tools. And then by April or May, suddenly the AI tools that were available were so different. Like what I was able to accomplish, from January, then coming back around and trying it again in, May, June with the release of ChatGPT 5. It's just incredible.
Yeah, it's really cool. And I love being able to use them for sure. Well, let's talk a little bit about Paradigm, because you are here, you're leading a sales team.
That's right.
And as you mentioned, a lot of residential customers on this side. What do you think actually makes a great salesperson, and how do you motivate a sales team to be successful?
Ooh, good one. So as a leader, I always say the best salesperson shuts up and listens well. I actually asks the right questions, shuts up and listens well. And I say a good sales leader understands her people and what motivates them and keeps the work meaningful. And meaning comes in different ways to different people. For some people, it's about putting food on the table, paying the mortgage, supporting their family. Others are much more mission driven, and it's how they're moving the industry forward. So really getting to know your people, which I've had the opportunity to do over the last 6 months or so, and making sure that you are helping to keep the work meaningful for them.
What are some of the big challenges that you see in our residential space, in the window and door space, and with the customers that you're working with now? What are some of the biggest challenges that you see here in this industry?
So certainly how AI is impacting the business. I think there's a real transformation in how people are, how homeowners are making buying decisions. They are much more empowered. They have AI tools at their disposal.
Yeah.
And it's a generational shift that they don't want to be sold to. They want to research. They want to consider the options. They want to be empowered with information. And then they want sales there at the last mile. And so it's interesting. There's kind of a multi-layered. I am leading a sales team that is responsible for selling Paradigm's products, but we support our customers in selling and promoting their products as well. So there's kind of a multi-layered piece to this, but buying behavior is definitely changing, and we have empowered, educated buyers that have tools at their disposal. They want to be able to visualize. They want to know what the pricing is going to be. They want to have that information before they engage with sales, and then they want sales to be on point, like ready to, they want sales to come in understanding their concerns, all of the information that they've provided, and helping them to make that final decision.
Yeah, and you're talking about the same buyer group now that is using all of these tools in their everyday life. So they're no longer searching doors near me or windows near me. They're searching, where can I find a door that is black on the outside and white on the inside that won't rot when it gets rained on in Georgia, at the lake. They're long tail searches. And so that's the interesting part, is how you actually need to sell to them and create content, and visibility around that is very different, and it's rapidly changing even more.
Yeah. And even the visual piece. Here's a picture of a door that I like. Help me find one like this. Or here's a house that I like the facade of. How would I transform my home? Yeah.
Some of the interior design stuff and exterior design tools I've seen with some of this technology is really cool, because you can remodel your kitchen in 1 second on AI, where some of those other diagrams used to take forever and they didn't really look quite real. So it's incredible. And I think it's going to help people be able to sell in a more educated way, like you said. And so people do really understand what they're getting. There's less guesswork into that. So I think it will be a really powerful tool if we all use it the correct way.
There's a lot of opportunity to transform the way that our customers are going to market.
Well, you were a big part of having this actually happen here at Paradigm, this podcast. And we've talked a lot about telling the stories of the people in this industry, because there are such amazing stories and incredible people and technology and products that go with it. What excites you the most about this new Paradigm Industry Insiders podcast?
First of all, I want to give the credit to John Wheeler, because this is the other part of a good sales leader, like harnesses her people's passion and gets it directed and funded and supported internally. So it was John Wheeler that came with this idea. I saw both a need for more content on our website. I also really saw that we have a tremendous amount of domain expertise at Paradigm. I'm bewildered by the complexity of the industry and how our people can cut through that, how they really understand, they really understand our manufacturers and what they need. So I just saw an opportunity to leverage that. It was John that, kind of had the idea, raised his hand, and I just went and helped him get the budget and helped get you engaged. We knew that we needed a little help with that. Yeah. So all I did was harness the talent of somebody on my team that I'm lucky to have. I'm excited about the content, about the thought leadership. Go back to the educated buyer. People don't want to be sold to. They want to be educated. They want information. They want to turn things over and understand what the options are. I see Paradigm Industry Insiders as a way to kind of harness and share the insight of not just so many smart people at Paradigm, but also our customers.
Well, if we sat down in 5 years and we talked about how the industry is in 5 years and what's going well, what's not, what do you hope that we say is true?
I hope that we get our manufacturers, our dealers, and their ultimate customers more deeply connected. If Paradigm can be a conduit, can help connect all of those elements of the industry, we will have succeeded.
That's amazing.
Get them a little closer to each other, understanding, providing data insights. I think data is the core of the insights, but it really is. It comes down to human understanding and how our manufacturers understand their customers and how we can help with that.
Yeah, data and having it is really important because it's hard to make decisions without it. And I do think that we are always going to need the people to be in this industry, but with the technology and the data combined, it becomes a more powerful thing. Well, I'm excited about this podcast. I'm excited for you to enjoy this amazing first annual conference. It's going to be a great week. And I thank you for joining me on the Paradigm Industry Insiders podcast.
Stephanie, thank you so much. Thank you for your help in really initiating this podcast. And thanks for the great conversation today.
Absolutely. And we will see you on our next episode.
Thanks for joining us on the Paradigm Industry Insiders podcast. If you enjoyed today's conversation, be sure to subscribe on your favorite podcast platforms and follow Paradigm on LinkedIn and YouTube to catch more stories, insights, and ideas from your peers across our industry. See y'all.